world positive capitalism, kind of investing in that area. And to me, what that is, just visualize three concentric circles: systemic challenges which we face as a society. Second one is like breakthrough technologies. And third is like large market. The intersection of those three things is, to me, building companies in that intersection is what is world positive capitalism. And what we have done is we've created an architecture at Obvious to invest in things which matter around three North Stars. And those three North Stars are how to improve planet health, human health, and economic health.
Do you get any pushback on this thesis of world positive capitalism?
If you look at like last hundreds of years, innovation has solved huge problems and life on planet has become drastically better. And there's a huge progress which we can kind of see. Of course, there are like ups and downs which happen, but there's a consistent progress. But like if you look at Warren Buffett's life, I think what one of the biggest takeaway is, and he's always thought about not short term, but has thought about long term.
How do you kind of assess your probability that we're going to make it?
I am 100%. I believe the purity of our souls, which are interconnected, like the good is over going to take the negative. And what that means is it is your and my job to make sure that people are clearly able to, now 51% people are clearly able to see their souls, and what is that to make you?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Love Conquers Fear podcast. I have just had an amazing time here in Austin over the past 3 days at the Henry Crown Fellowship Forum. It's an annual gathering, which this year Josh Baer, who you saw in episode number 4, or was that 5? I think it was episode 5, was hosting this year. And he hosted it at Capital Factory, and we, like we always do at the Henry Crown Fellowship, went through some really profound readings. And then Josh hosted a day today to talk about the fellowship fund and all the amazing things happening with the portfolio companies. So it was a really inspiring day. And I'm here actually with a very good friend who was also in attendance and is also a Henry Crown Fellow. So really looking forward to this episode, and we're going to get into a lot of fantastic topics. So I'm here with Vishal. He's the co-founder of Obvious Ventures, and he is an amazing Henry Crown Fellow, and we're going to really get into what Obvious is all about and talk about all different types of things. We've been having amazing conversations here over the past few days, and I'm really proud to call him one of my very, very close friends. So Vishal, welcome. Yeah, it's good to be here with you.
Awesome. I'm so happy, Brett, I'm here. And thanks to you and Josh. I know that both of you have been telling me to come to Austin for such a long time. And I'm just having an amazing.
Here you are.
Yeah. And here I am. And
Yeah.
in your beautiful home.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for hosting me, and just this morning's walk and all our discussions.
Yes.
Has
We've
been
been having
amazing.
some great discussions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And we're so aligned in terms of the positive changes that we want to see in the world. And you're really putting it all out there with Obvious Ventures in terms of your thesis about world positive capitalism. So maybe we just start with that. What's that all about?
yeah, so I have been like all my life, I've been kind of, it's resulted in this journey around finding my purpose. And my purpose, I think, has driven me towards investing in companies that matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I've branded that name, or we at Obvious Ventures have branded that as world positive capitalism, kind of investing in that area. And to me, what that is kind of just visualize three concentric circles: systemic challenges which we face as a society.
Mm-hmm.
Second one is like breakthrough technologies. And third is like large markets.
Mm-hmm.
The intersection of those three things is to me, like building companies in that intersection is what is world positive capitalism. And that is my life's work.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And what are some of the companies over the years that you backed at Obvious that you really feel like fit that mold and have created a really big impact?
Yeah, so in this idea of kind of world positive capitalism, the way we just invest in is investing in hard things that matter. And what we have done is we've created an architecture at Obvious to invest in things which matter around 3 North Stars. And those 3 North Stars are how to improve planet health, human health, and economic health. And in each of these 3 areas, we are thinking a lot about what are the biggest macro shifts which are happening, which are positive shifts, driven by technology, driven by different tailwinds. And that's how we make investments.
Right.
So in case of planet health, as an example, I think there are some of these amazing shifts which are happening. One example would be going from combustion to electrification and to autonomy stack in transportation, which is a positive move which is happening. Other would be dirty to clean energy, to abundance of energy through shift towards nuclear. So that's another kind of shift which is happening. In human health, there are multiple shifts which are happening. One of the shifts which we see is move from a fee-for-service to outcome-driven healthcare to agentic care, where you can provide access to best healthcare for everybody. That shift is happening. In biology, we are seeing a shift where a lot of innovations have happened accidentally, and now we are seeing this shift towards more deterministic understanding of human biology, almost biology becoming a math discipline. So that's something which we're very excited about. And similarly, in economic health, which is a third area which touches a lot of people's lives, daily lives, a move towards bringing manufacturing closer to home through robotics and automation. And another big shift around intelligence democratization, where everybody could be the best self they can be. So we make investments around those kind of ideas, and some of our successes over the years have been in planet health companies like Diamond Foundry building diamonds in a plasma reactor as a way to get rid of mining. And mining has hugely negative social and environmental negative effects.
Yeah, including with the human beings often that are doing the mining.
Yes, like that environmental destruction. You have to have private armies to manage these kind of mining sites. So that's kind of one company, which now this particular company also is getting a lot of attention from chips, because diamond is a great heat sink, and so there could be a huge amount of opportunities in that world in terms of energy saving. Another area where we've found a lot of successes, we were early on in a company called Beyond Meat, which is a plant-based protein company.
I was lucky enough to be in that one. Yeah.
Awesome. And it had a
it did really well. That category is very challenged now, but it was an amazing rise.
Yeah, no, I think it's the whole shift was amazing. We were able to distribute our shares to our investors, but like now that category is struggling. You're totally right. But I think
I still love the product though. You know, I'm vegetarian for over 15 years now, and that was a game changer because plant-based meat prior to Beyond Meat didn't really taste that good. You know? And then Beyond Meat came along, and
Impossible
came along, and so many others. I'm actually an investor in Upside Foods, which is trying to make it from the real cells of the animal and literally duplicate the process of, you know, chicken. And the only time I've broken my vegetarianness is when Uma, you know, the CEO and founder of Upside Foods, brought over chicken. He was serving it at the co-founder of Airbnb's home, who lives here in Austin, and showing them that it tasted exactly like chicken because it's molecularly, et cetera. It literally is just chicken, and it tasted exactly like chicken, like at least what I remember.
I remember Uma very fondly. Long time ago, the company used to be called Memphis Meat.
It was called Memphis Meat.
No, and he's been on this kind of amazing journey. And
he's an amazing human being.
So I think in Planet Health, hopefully that gives you an idea of like, hey, can we make things in a different ways, which are more less destructive,
Right.
and can help in this path towards abundance.
Yes.
In human health, we have a company called Virta Health, which is reversing type 2 diabetes, and they are seeing amazing results. Like, think about people, who are not able to even tie laces,
Yeah.
and they're changing the lives of those folks through this treatment. Amazing entrepreneur Sami Inkinen, who built a company called Trulia before, and now he's building Virta.
Truly, it was a huge company.
Yeah, it was a very successful company.
Yeah.
The Park brothers, like Todd Park and Ed Park, have built multiple companies before, um, and they like including Athena Health, and now they're building a company called Devoted Health. They're Crown Fellows with us as well. Yeah.
I know Todd Park. I'll never forget a Capital Factory moment, because we were just at Capital Factory when President Obama was on the jobs tour. He was there with the CTO of the United States, who was Todd Park, and they were playing this role. It was really fun, where 3 companies that were at Capital Factory got to pitch to Obama and Todd. And Obama, kept on asking Todd what he thought, and Todd was making all these amazing observations. And he's like, maybe after I'm president, we should just go into venture capital together and just do this. And then Todd instead is like, no, I think I'm going to start a company. And he starts Devoted Health. Yeah.
No, I think he's such a good energy human being.
He's a very good person.
Yeah, no, and he's kind of, his life is all about kind of solving problems, and I feel like Devoted is kind of, he's been preparing for this company for forever.
Yes.
And he wants to, and inspired by, like, hey, what's the healthcare which his parents deserve, and how do we deliver that in a very convoluted system which we have in the US.
Yeah.
So that's we're very fortunate to be part of that company. I think on the biology side, we were early investors in a company called Recursion Pharma, which is a fascinating company, which is using robotics and machine vision and AI as a way to come up with new drugs. So what it does is, and when it started, what it did was, you have cells, and you have on the other side different molecules, and you'll connect with each other.
Yeah.
And you'll take pictures of these cells, and an unhealthy cells looks really bad, and a healthy cell starts looking very nicer on a picture basis. And then through that whole process, in a high throughput experimentation, you'll find which cell is getting better and what drug would work for that particular cell.
That's cool.
That is just like
I mean, that immediately makes me start thinking about AlphaFold, and how Demis Ibbis won the Nobel Prize for AlphaFold, and how that's going to just radically change our discovery of all different types of medicines, and then applying that with that. I mean, we're going to solve disease.
I think AI and biology is an amazing place to use innovation and improve longevity. It's just like, we don't understand biology really well, and if we can move and make it much more of a math discipline, and understand its complications, and be able to understand how do we prevent and eradicate disease, we are at the cusp of that, and it is going to be so much. And we've been investing a lot. Like, there are a lot of maybe last 10 companies, half of them have been AI and biology based companies. So we're very excited about that domain. Other area which we are very fascinated about is mental health. We think it's one of our biggest problems which we face as a humanity, and so we've invested in a company called Micromedica, which is using psychedelics as a way to tackle the hardest challenges in mental health. So that's another company was started by a guy named Paul Stammet.
I met him for the first time at this year's TED, and he was such a joyous, kind guy. I actually met him and his wife, and he was so kind. He He was really sweet to me and my niece, Chantel. It was her first time going to TED, and it was so great bringing her. She's 29 years old. And he asked for our address, and we spent a lot of time talking to him, and sent me the copy of his newest book, which is amazing. I mean, he's done more to categorize the different types of mushrooms that contain psilocybin than any person in
Yeah,
human history, unless you go back probably to the ancient days where different indigenous, types of people that lived on the land probably actually knew more than Paul Stamets, but outside of them,
yeah, no, I think that
but we lost that wisdom to the ages, and he's bringing it back.
I think he's like is a person who's been consumed by this space for such a long time,
Yeah.
trying to understand and experience, and how can he make an impact? And
Yeah, I can tell you for sure, like reading his energy and being there in person with him, he is rooted deeply in love, and he really, you can tell he really, really cares about humanity.
yeah, no, I think we've been very fortunate. We're fortunate to be backers of his company, and we're doing a lot of other work in in just to kind of systemically understand our human brain and what
Mhm.
how do we make us as species live a joyful life,
Mhm.
so that's kind of area of deep interest. And then in economic health, we um, are very interested in how do we help SMBs and individual entrepreneurs thrive.
Mhm.
How do we give more and more um, like do innovation in a way that can amplify their opportunities. And so we were early investors in a company called Gusto,
Mhm.
which is a benefits platform. They've been growing rapidly, and it provides like smaller firms the highest quality software, which
Mm.
traditionally was not available to them. And so this particular company has built a very mission driven company targeted towards long tail entrepreneurs,
Right.
and so that they can thrive. We're very interested also in quest for abundance, quest for to kind of really understand robotics and how robotics could be utilized in kind of dirty, dull, and dangerous jobs. So we are investors in a company called Dexterity Robotics, which is doing some cutting edge work. And more recently, we have just invested in a company which is trying to kind of solve, which is a very hard problem in robotics, dexterity. How do you build an AI-enabled dexterous hand, which is an unsolved problem.
Mm.
So hopefully that gives you a taste of, I talked about world positive around how can we solve these problems, hard problems, which moves humanity forward.
Yeah.
And we've merchandised around that idea three broad areas. How do we improve our planet health, human health, and economic health, which are three fundamental building blocks
Yeah.
of society. And how do we move the world forward through the power of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer of people, irrespective of whether it's for-profit, non-profit, or policy folks, people who move things from 0 to 1,
Yeah.
and then 1 to thousands.
Yeah.
Like just those are people who move our society forward, and I'm just so blessed to be part of this
That's
journey.
amazing.
Yeah. So
So I'm kind of honestly a little bit overwhelmed at how much you just told me. I mean, how broad of an impact that is. And it literally fills me with love to hear about all the different vectors you're addressing with world positive capitalism. And I'm curious, do you get any pushback on this thesis of world positive capitalism? Does anybody say, because it just seems obvious that everybody, well, that's the name of the firm, right?
right,
Obvious Ventures,
right.
that everybody would say, well, of course, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think a lot of these, if you look at like last hundreds of years, innovation have solved huge problems,
Mhm.
and life on planet has become drastically better.
Mhm.
And there's a huge progress which we can kind of see. Of course, there are like ups and downs which happen, but there's a consistent progress.
Yeah.
Um, but when you brand a firm around this belief that we want to invest in things which are solving huge problems, uh, and uh, and uh, and that's our kind of thesis. There are certain people who always get like, they wonder like, hey, do you want to make money or not?
All right.
And we are a traditional venture capital fund, so we have to kind of raise money from our limited partners. And so my work also has been is if you, in a purest form, pursue purpose, and
Mhm.
purpose is embedded in doing the right thing for humanity and solving real problems which make life better,
Right.
that of course you're going to make a lot of money.
Right.
But it's hard for some people to understand, because in a capitalistic system, sometimes just people want like to hear, tell me you only care about making the most amount of returns,
Right.
not the process of creating most amount of returns. I don't know
Right.
if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. And, what I would say to those people that are the skeptics is, one of the best experiences of my life was spending time with Warren Buffett. Thanks to the Henry Crown Fellowship. So I got to spend 4 hours with him one day. We picked him up on a trolley called Ollie the Trolley, which went near his home. And, we see his house, and it's very modest. And this is the best investor in the world. And then that led me to, after seeing how much he just is rooted in love and spending that time with him and learning about his habits, I went to the Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meeting multiple times. And these things, are not lost on me as a CEO, but maybe other people would not zero in on them. But I really zero in on someone's cultural manifestation, that what is the reality they're trying to create in the environment that they're in? Are they trying to lead people to fear, and just like, hey, you don't do that, it's like lights out, you're fired, etc.? Or are they trying to lead people with love? And the most delightful part of the shareholders meeting, I can tell you, is watching him walk the trade show floor with all the companies that they're investors or owners in. And he is in a state of absolute bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like a Buddha. He's in a state of absolute joy. And it just shows on his face, it shows on the other people's face. And it actually led me one time to ask a friend of mine who is this guy, Sam Taylor, who his company, he was CEO of Oriental Trading,
Mm-hmm.
which is a kind of a tchotchke company. Like you probably get the catalogs like for Halloween, etc. And he sold his company to Warren Buffett. He was really suffering under private equity and sold it. And I asked him in front of about 80 people, as we were all trying to learn from the CEOs of Warren Buffett portfolio companies, what is it like to work with him? And he started crying. Kid you not, he started crying. And I'm like, I was really struck because this is like a very close friend of mine. I've known Sam for a long time. I used to serve on the board of directors of shop.org with him. Very tragically, Sam has passed away from brain cancer. Like really, really fought a heroic battle. And he said, I want you to understand, he looked at everybody, that I was suffering under private equity because they did not care about a single person at the company. He said, but when Warren Buffett bought the company, he would constantly come and spend time with us. And every single person there, he would look into their eyes with incredible humanity and connection. And he's the manifestation of love. And, any VC or any capitalist watching this, I challenge you to point out an investor with a better track record over any similar period of time than Warren Buffett, and that is the manifestation of love meeting capitalism. Like he and Charlie Munger both are the avatars for that. I mean, Charlie Munger obviously passed away recently, but there's so much wisdom that Charlie Munger has given to the world. I have Poor Charlie's Almanac, which actually the co-founder of Data.World, who's now leading it at ServiceNow, Matt Lessig, who's an amazing human being. He gave it to me. And there's so much philosophy in there. It's like watching Plato and Aristotle when I watch them go back and forth at the shareholders meeting.
No, I think, first of all, I'm so jealous that you met him and spent 4 hours, because that'll be my dream. I think
you should do it.
I need to.
I can arrange that, by the way.
I would like.
I can't promise you to spend that much time, but I can arrange for you the event where you go to the shareholders meeting, and hopefully that happens as well.
I would love that. That you'll make my
good friend Phil Terry. He does an annual pilgrimage with leaders, and he has a lot of good access.
But like, if you look at Warren Buffett's life, I think one of the biggest takeaway is, and he's always thought about not short term, but has thought about long term. And if you think about kind of the biggest suffering of human nature is we are creatures of short-termism, and we want something tomorrow, but it's very hard for us to wait for months or years. And a lot of things which Warren Buffett talks about in his philosophy are very, very simple things which are embedded around truth. But it's so hard for us to follow that and execute around that. So similarly, at Obvious, I think we are part of this amazing planet. We have this amazing life. And if we get an opportunity to make our planet better, there's no business to be done on a dead planet.
We only have one planet.
Only have one planet. Yeah, of course, Elon Musk wants to go to Mars or something, but I think we have to protect what we have. Versus go for the greener pastures, because we know
it's not greener there.
Not greener there, which is true too.
I mean, it was Richard Garriott who educated me that to have life on Mars, if you're a human being, you would irradiate yourself on the surface of Mars. Like the radiation would kill you almost instantly. So you have to either build underground, or you have to have domes that protect you from the radiation.
Similarly, if we can improve, and we've already done that, we've improved longevity, although we are struggling now in the US to, like, it has declined, but if you're not solving and improving life and quality of life, what are we investing around? And then each family, each individual should have a productive work, so that every day they show up and there is some purpose which is driving them. And so if you do not have economic health in every community and having vibrant communities, then why are we doing what we are doing? So to me, the way I look at things, even for the skeptics, is if you're not investing in these fundamental truths, then why are we doing what we're doing? Because that's the arc. That's the arc which we are investing around. So
I've known you for a long time, and I've never understood the name Obvious Ventures as much as I do now, honestly, because this is it. I mean, this is completely obvious that this is the way we should be. Was it always this way at Obvious when you started out? Like, what's been the journey to get to this point, or was it from the beginning, we're going to invest in these world positive companies?
For Obvious as a journey, or my journey?
Well, for Obvious, because you've been, it's 12 years now, right?
Yeah, 12 years. And
you co-founded it.
I co-founded it with two other co-founders, James Joaquin and Ev Williams. Ev has had a Midas touch in the world of publishing, building companies like Blogger, Twitter, and Medium. And then James has been a serial tech entrepreneur and was at a company called Zoom, which was in the money transfer business, where he experienced doing the right thing for people, just created this cumulative effect of a better business. And so when we all connected, and I was investing in India before this, and when we all connected, we were asking a question: why are we not investing in things which matter? Why is everybody just chasing like 90% SaaS deals?
Right.
And we saw an opportunity, and we also came to this realization: the beauty of venture as an asset class. This is the only asset class where we can envision a future and can start building that future. There's no other asset class. You can't do that in hedge fund, private equity.
Right.
The policy is the other one. Like if we can get amazing leaders who are futuristic, who are thoughtful, they can create that kind of a change.
Right.
But from a capitalism point of view, this is the only asset class. And
Yeah.
so we said, like, hey, given this a vacuum, and this is the only asset class kind of which can deliver the world we want to kind of build. So we came up with this thesis of world positive, and Ev was a believer, and he not only as a co-founder, he became a big investor in the fund, and now we're just closing our fifth fund.
Awesome.
In the last 12 years, with 6 public offerings. We have returned over $350 million back to investors. Lot of M&A transactions, multiple decacons, all around this idea towards this fundamental truth, which is like improving life on the planet.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I can tell, and obviously I've known you, that this really is something that brings you true joy, and is truly, you know, you're living your meaning in doing this. And I've always tried to do the same, but I've been on the entrepreneur side. I have, I do have our family office, and I do invest in startups. But when I tried to start up my own venture capital fund, which was called Hurt plus Harbach, with this guy Jeff Harbach, who's a great guy. He became the CEO of the Kauffman Fellows program, and he was a Kauffman Fellow himself. I got about a year and a half into it. This is after Bizarre Voice went public, and I had retired for a while, and then I decided this could be a good thing to do. I'd worked at Austin Ventures kind of part-time to see what it was like behind the scenes, and got inspired to think I can do this with Jeff. About 2 months into it, of raising money, which I was very successful at raising the money. Like I'd raised like half the fund in like 2 months, but I'd never gotten the paperwork done. I was, I'd gotten the commitments. I just felt like this is not for me. This is not what I was meant to do. I'm meant to be an entrepreneur, and stay that course. And I met with our Rabbi Neil Blumoff, who's an amazing person. And I said, I feel so embarrassed. And he said, Brett, you should celebrate this, because for you figured something out in 2 months. He's like, some people that I meet with, it takes them 10 years to figure out.
And they're miserable.
It's not right for them. And so celebrate that. And he's like, I would actually even encourage you to celebrate it publicly. And so I wrote this post. You can find it at lucky7.io, which is my blog, called Listening to Your Soul. This is a long time ago. And I just let it all out there and just bared my soul that this wasn't my calling. And, I'm sorry, but I never signed the paperwork. I never drew capital. But I have immense respect for people that do it, that know it's right for them, and you're doing it for all the right reasons, and you've focused it in an area which is really inspiring to me, and I think will be inspiring to a lot of people listening to this. So I just want to honor that and thank you for that. Um, when you go back in the time machine with investing in India before, and maybe we rewind all the way back to your childhood. Like, I'm curious, how the young Vishal got to this point of the
Mhm.
Vishal sitting in front of me today.
I think, Brett, growing up as young Vishal, I would have never dreamt that I'll be sitting next to you here. And that's God's honest truth. I'm so
Well, you know
blessed.
what? I would feel the same way because honestly, when I grew up in Austin, it was 170,000 people. It was the size of Anchorage, Alaska today. And it was like Willie Nelson was the biggest thing going on here. So, so I feel the same way.
So we are both blessed to be like here today and just
Yes.
chatting. Yeah, my journey. I grew up in a small town called Chandigarh, which is up north in India, 5 hours north of Delhi, to a middle class family who believed in education. My mom side of family was doctors and very influential senior folks in the army in that time, kind of worked for the British Army. They lived in what is currently Pakistan, and during the partition, they moved from Pakistan back to India, left everything there. I remember like my mom telling me like, hey, your grandfather had a Mercedes and like at that time, and but everything had to be left and they
Just
moved
everything.
everything. Yeah,
Wow.
like a huge house and stuff. So, and they moved to India, and my father side of business was, or sorry, my father's side grew up in Delhi, and his father was not very was poor, and they were brothers and sisters, like six of them, and they would sleep in a very small room. And my grandfather's brothers were very successful. So part of the family were very successful, but my grandfather from my paternal side was not, was poor, and so that is kind of where that's the kind of circumstances I grew up. My parents were, who both are no more, which I always miss them every day. Um, uh, I grew up a regular middle class life, and these guys, my parents took care of everything. Like they just never made me realize like, yeah, I'm missing anything. Uh, and but there was always this message of study,
Right.
and but I remember I was more careless and I didn't study much, and I remember my father always saying like, hey, you need to kind of study or choose the sports and become best at that sport. And I was really not good at that sport, but I was consumed by it, which is a sport called cricket, which is very famous in India.
Yeah.
And
Cricket matches are very long.
they're very, very long. and and uh, and then like in 12th grade, my father passed away, and that at that time, I just feel like as I look backwards was a pivotal shift in my thinking. I became much more serious. I felt like there's burden on me to kind of build a life, and and that, and everybody looks for like somebody to look up to as a mentor. There was a cousin of mine who was in the US and had become very successful at that time, was also building a company, and And he would always come back to India and kind of give us like small pencils or something, and we were like on top of the world, like, oh my God, like our cousin has brought something for us. Yeah.
What's it going to be this time?
Yeah, what's going to be this time? Like we were all kids, like waiting for them to open up their luggage, and
this be the Santa Claus equivalent.
Yeah.
Or Hanukkah Harry.
Yeah. And he lives in San Francisco. He'll be like listening to this now. I've never kind of shared this with him. And so he kind of provided, not knowing, he provided me a path saying like, hey, maybe there's a better opportunity. So I studied hard. I got into an engineering school, and then applied to the US, got into a master's program here. And I'm just so thankful to the US system of people who are immigrants who cannot afford, because I came here with almost nothing. I was able to get full scholarship and research assistantship, which would pay my monthly expense. So I'm just very, very thankful for that system. And I had a polymer science background, and the most important thing at that point was survival. And I was not thinking about venture capital. I did not know what that was. And in that quest of survival and fascination of understanding what kind of delightful products or consumers, while they buy something, I got really excited about doing a project where Nike was a customer. And then for 10 odd years, I ended up joining a company called Patagonia, which is an outdoor lifestyle brand.
Amazing company. Yeah.
An amazing company.
Yeah. Sure, right.
Ivan Chenard and Melinda Chenard, the two co-founders. And I remember distinctly how clueless I was, Brett, is I walked into the company wearing a suit, and then I for an interview, and I was just looking around, and everybody was wearing shorts, and there's this Ivan guy walks in with a flip-flop and a tattered shorts, and my going to be manager introduces me, and I realized, I'm like, hey, I need to come make a change. So I tell this guy, Joe Walkie-Talkie was his name. I'm like, Joe, I need to kind of go change.
Right.
I'm not feeling good.
Right.
And so that decision resulted in potentially me getting hired in a company which I did not know much about. And that company fundamentally changed me. I came in as a person who was trying to survive, was a huge believer in hardcore capitalism, and in 10 years learned role of business's role in the context of society, building excellent product, building and doing it in a way there's amazing culture. How do you kind of do it in the context of building stakeholder value? And nothing affected, actually the bottom line kept on improving. So I'm like, so early on I just learned by doing the right thing, you can end up making more money as well. And that experience became formative. And as I was leaving, and I was thinking about, after they sponsored me for a green card, and I could be secured in the US, I started. As I was coming out, I was more of a refined capitalist, what in Austin you all call conscious capitalist, and so that journey of hardcore capitalist survival to a system thinker and a more conscious capitalist is going to happen thanks to Patagonia. So I'll be always indebted to that company and Shenad's for providing me that experience at that formative age. And with that, I started thinking like, what next? And there are a couple of my friends who got connected to me thanks to Patagonia, and you may know them, Joe Walkie-Talkie, Jay Cohn Gilbert and Bart Houlihan.
Yes, I do. Yeah, Jay and Bart. actually, you don't know this about me, I don't think. I don't think we ever talked about this, but I went to the awards, the Aspen Institute Awards ceremony when I was just in the Henry Crown Fellowship, and Jay and Bart and Andrew were getting an award for founding the B Corporation movement, the Benefit Corporation movement. And I came back from that. We had just started Data.World. And I told my co-founders, I said, hey, I really think this is Capitalism 2.0, and we need to convert from a C Corp to a B Corp. But we had just gotten a term sheet from Jason Pressman at Shasta Ventures for our Series A, to lead our Series A. And so I called up Jason, and I had the blessing of my co-founders. That didn't take much time. They were like, of course. And Jason was very open to it, but he said, hey, let's talk about the first board meeting. This would be the first B Corp we've ever invested in at Shasta Ventures. And the first board meeting, I was all like ready with this big presentation, and I was like, it carved out an hour and a half of time, you know, et cetera. And within 30 minutes of that board meeting, Jason's like, this makes so much sense. Let's just do it. And that was it. We converted to a B Corporation. But it was really, you know, I've told Jay and Bart and Andrew that story many times, you know, very sadly, like Andrew
Passed away.
recently, but what they did with that movement is really amazing.
So
B Corporation movement. And so they, I really want to honor them in the spirit of the fellowship too, and how they changed my life. That's so cool that you had that positive impact with them as well.
Yeah, no, I think I remember, like, as I was thinking about leaving Patagonia, and Jay had just sold his company, and one which was a basketball shoe company, and he and I started kind of discussing, like, hey, what should a new kind of corporation look like? We came up with this name B, and
Oh, so you were in the room where it happened, where
first
you actually came up with
Wow. I have the first T-shirt we made of B. Before, we were actually thinking about, like, let's start a clothing company which is going to compete with Gap as B, and we're going to give a large part of profits to something else,
right,
like from like to nonprofits and stuff. So that was kind of the original idea we were brainstorming, and then as we did more and more thought process, we said, like, hey, why not make a systemic change? And so we up-leveled it to a nonprofit, and we had, or Jay had his friend Bart Houlihan, who was part of And One, joined us, and Jay left to Costa Rica for some time, and Bart and I continued to work on it, and once it started kind of formulating, they were ready. That's when I think Andrew Kasoy came into the picture. As I was going through this whole process, I just loved this whole idea, but I got cold feet. Like, I didn't want to be a full-time nonprofit person building that shop. So I decided to not join them full-time, and they just took the whole project and have executed so enormously beautiful and with love. And you meet Jay, you meet Bart, you meet Andrew, you know that they are full of love.
full of love, you know, for sure.
And so, but what I started at that point, started thinking about innovation and entrepreneurship. How can they solve huge problems? Like, that was something on the back of my mind. And the CEO of Patagonia joined a guy named Steve Case at a fund called Revolution. So Steve in the 90s was like,
I remember, founder of AOL.
And
I
so
spoke alongside Steve when he was coming out with his new book, and basically making the case for, you know, that there should be this revolution, you know, all over the United States, not just in Silicon Valley, that all these communities could participate in.
Rise of the Rest,
Start up the rise of the rest,
And so I was very fortunate. I never thought about, like, investing as a career, and so Michael, who was a former CEO of Patagonia, joined Steve, and he said, like, hey, do you want to come to this side? And I did, and there we got involved in a company, a project I worked closely with was a company called FlexCar, which we merged with Zipcar, and Zipcar became a very successful company in that era. So I tasted some kind of success of like, hey, this is how good investment could look like.
Right.
But I was still consumed by this idea of how can technology solve big problems, and can that be a thesis around which you can invest, and can innovation solve big problems? So at that same time, J. Cohen Gilbert had nominated me for Crown Fellowship.
Oh, cool. I didn't know he was the one that nominated
Yeah.
you. I mean, Josh Baer was the one that nominated me.
Yeah, no, I remembered him and interviewing with Keith Pruick, who was the founder of Henry Crown Fellowship, and fondly kind of just remember these amazing, he's no more, Keith is no more, but
Keith was a giant of giants.
yeah, just amazing soul. And so when I joined, I kept on going with this thread of like, hey, can technology and innovation and entrepreneurship, can you kind of build a thesis around solving these big problems? And I encountered almost, maybe now I think backwards, maybe I was not fully 100% confident, but I encountered like people saying like, hey, can this be done? Or like, hey, you will not have returns. But I continued to pursue and talk to everybody who I could. And then I remember like few folks in the fellowship, Sonal Shah, like she was at Google at that time, and so she connected me to Pierre Omidyar's vehicle, and then George Soros' vehicle, and those three entities ended up backing a fund targeted towards India to prove this hypothesis that you can solve problems using innovation and innovative business models. And so I dragged my family, and they were very, very reluctant, from a beautiful town, Ojai, California, to Hyderabad, India, because I was consumed by this idea, and ended up investing in India, and it's a tough market at those days, but all our companies ended up doing very well. So gave me this courage and confidence that this could work, and didn't want to live in that part of the world indefinitely. Wanted my son to go to school here, so moved back, and I was at that point convinced that technology and innovation can envision the future, and I just love these kind of serendipity of when you are thinking honestly and clearly with great love, that you find other people, and that led me to connect with James and Ev, and here we are, after 12 years, having built Obvious Ventures, and just finishing raising our fifth fund. So
so cool.
I'm blessed. I'm really, really blessed, but never thought about I would be doing this thing when I was growing up.
Yeah. Well, it very much reminds me of that book, the Celestine Prophecy. And one of the things that happened on the way here that you and I were like, oh my gosh, is, we're driving back to the house, and there's a bumper sticker like right in front of us. And what was on the bumper sticker?
Love greater than fear.
Love greater than fear, right? And here we are talking about love conquers fear.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. You put out that intentionality, and then the universe started to open up to you.
Yeah.
And more people came in your life that led to this moment for both of us.
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of, I hope I had this kind of clarity. Even clarity comes with time, like there's this element of wisdom. And
well, it's the Steve Jobs quote that all the dots connect in reverse.
Yes. And to me, actually, for the longest period of time, I just feel I had lived life around fear. But then there was a change somewhere in this journey where love went much bigger than fear and was able to conquer fear.
Yeah.
And that feeling of doing things for the right reason, not just worried about like what happens tomorrow, but working every day with that belief.
Yeah.
And as you and I've talked about, like I think we have this energy, and our souls have this energy that if we authentically go out in the world and bring our 100% self in an authentic way, then we find other people
Yeah.
who want to be on the same journey with you.
Yeah. I mean, even just starting this podcast, one of the things that I really had to weigh is how transparent to be, and I started out episode 1 with just incredible transparency. And one of our Henry Crown fellows, he asked me over the past couple of days, he said, "Hey, have you lost friends because you're being so transparent?" And I said, "Actually, I've gained so many more friends. Like so many people have showed up
Yeah.
since launching this podcast." I mean, I just launched it on, Rosh Hashanah on September 24th. And so many friends have showed up, have come into my life. It's amazing, like what actually is happening. It's very Celestine prophecy for me. And I told him, I said, "Not to my knowledge yet have I lost any friends. But if I do, were they the right friends in the first place? Like if they see me acting with authenticity,
Right.
because are we going to act with authenticity and allow love to conquer fear within us so that we can then hopefully collectively as humanity allow love to conquer fear?" But it starts individually. It starts individually with us overcoming our own fear to then manifest the change that we want in the world. And you overcame lots and lots of fear. I mean, I it's hard actually for an American, even American growing up in small town Austin, to imagine, because small town Austin, when I was born, is very different than India from a wealth level. India right now has 1.46 billion people. It's the most populous country in the world. And you and I are similar age. And back when you were a kid, India was pretty poor country.
And with the communistic kind of approach to their politics, and no free-form capitalism at that point, and you only worked for government. So it was a very different country than what it is today, and it's moving now. Is like an amazing growth story. But at that point, kind of leaving that country behind in an unknown environment with no support system.
Yeah.
But like that's what I love about US. I think like I just was on this walkie-talkie tour with at our Aspen event yesterday, and there were these 4 amazing human beings, which this format of walkie-talkie
We
is
should
like,
describe that format.
yeah,
Yeah.
is basically having a prompt, and for 10 minutes, one person talks, and everybody listens and walks with them, and then they talk back or they summarize what they heard without any judgment.
They just serve as a mirror. Yeah.
As a mirror, this is what I heard. And you do it, everybody does it. And I just, it was kind of the most interesting experience I've had in a long period of time. Like just because I was able to connect at a deeper level with everybody. And 10 minutes seems short, but when you're talking about yourself, for a person like me, who doesn't like to talk too much, is an introvert, is daunting. And so it was. I just learned about these 3 people. I had known one of them before, 2 I did not, but the depth at which got to know about them, and all 4 of us are immigrants. One Italian American family, long time back, a Jewish family who survived Holocaust from Germany and Austria, and a Spanish family, right, like who immigrated from Spain. So America is such an amazing melting point of best coming here
Yeah.
and building their lives and kind of giving back to this amazing
Yeah, I
country.
wish that we would just honestly open the floodgates to the best of the best because they want to come here. And I wrote this piece on Dr. Fifi Lee's book. It's called I think it's called The World I See. I remember the title. But I wrote that piece. People can find it on my Medium, or actually, I think that one's just on my Medium, or it's also on LinkedIn. And one of the things that I went back in time because Core Metrics really leveraged the H-1B program. I brought people from Pakistan, from India. It was during the dot-com time, so talent was very, very tight here. And I fell in love with the people that we brought here. I mean, my wife was, she helped me start Core Metrics. She was helping them find medical care. She almost like a den mother or two in terms of, she did a lot for the company. She was doing the user interface design, the website, the trade show booths, the office, like a ton of stuff. She's very, very talented and very entrepreneurial. And, I really fell in love with them, and we're such a beneficiary of the H-1B program. I looked back on the stats since Core Metrics, which I started in 1999, and it almost has not, it's stagnated. It's like we have not opened the floodgates. So yeah, we need to do that because the best do want to come here, and this is an immigrant nation. Primarily. There are the American natives who are here. I think it's 1.5 million of the population of around 350 million. So it's primarily all immigrants, but we spend so much time, talking about American isolationism, and the best want to come here.
Yeah, and great privilege, a position of privilege, because if the best want to come here and contribute, I think like it's very hard to design a country like that.
Yeah.
Very, very hard.
And it's very hard, like going back to your family story, it's very hard to like just leave Pakistan with nothing, leave everything behind. Like how many people can conquer that type of fear? Like literally they just leave their house, they leave all their possessions and just go. And the type of roots that gave you as a child, like that's real love conquering fear. Like that's real bravery. And many people that have made it to this country have allowed love to conquer fear, that dream for this new promised land. Ronald Reagan said the shining city on the hill.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah. But I think we like I've just been very, very fortunate to be in this kind of place, and I've been very fortunate to have met you also, Brad. Like I think, like
Thank you.
To me,
I feel the same.
It's just, I think we are now collaborating, and you are working on this kind of new chapter, which is so much needed, and if we all were able to kind of learn how to conquer your fear and kind of manifest love.
Yeah.
And love is not a soft word. Like love is love for everything, love for humanity, love for innovation, love is like the most powerful word if you do it from the purity of your heart, right?
Yes.
And how do you manifest that? And if you are able to do that as nation, as the world, I think we have this amazing opportunity to make humanity thrive.
Yeah, it's the highest vibratory force in the universe, that the universe is deeply rooted in love. So to be in alignment to that, to take the investor sense, to be like Warren Buffett, I'm quite sure his whole life has been very, very much like the Celestine prophecy. I can't imagine the people that showed up. Sam Taylor showed up. Sam Taylor was the one that called him. to say, I want you to buy Oriental Trading.
Yeah.
And Sam told me that he said, okay, well, I know the business, come over. How's he know the business? Because he reads over 4 hours a day. He comes to his office and he makes the decision in about 30 minutes to buy the company, because he looked into Sam Taylor's eyes and heart, and he knew that he was in front of a good man that really cared about the company. That was all he needed to know, because he already knows the numbers of the, I mean, when you've spent that much time investing and reading, you could look at a numbers and just, I can't even imagine the database of comparisons he's doing.
I think I love this idea of living a optimistic way of life versus a more pessimistic way. Like, you can find fault in anything,
Of course,
because our brains are like, we can kind of find problems. Hey, this cannot happen for these 17 reasons.
Right.
But thinking about why this can happen or what would make this happen, is the power we have as human brain. And then there is this utmost truth. And thanks to kind of sharing with me the book Celestine Prophecy, and
oh, this is a book you've read?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. No, I'm not like a humongous reader, Brett, but like I have like, I don't know, so many books I want to read now because of you. I'm like intrigued by.
Well, hopefully all of these books will make you better.
Yeah. No, I would love. I love that book. Actually, I and my wife heard the book, on Audible together, and I just love that. It's just like it related well to my soul in terms of like, hey, what's the utmost truth? And
That's cool that your wife read it with you.
Yeah, no, was a really good, fun way, and we then discussed with each other about life and our souls, and yeah, it was
That's
fun.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And one of the things I found in reading that book is that I started to notice a lot more synchronicities. Like, it opened me up. It opened me up to the inner, and actually the book talks about how to open up to that energy. Like, we could go into that for a long time, but I would just encourage anybody, get it on Audible. It's told really well through Audible. It's like listening to a great movie.
Yeah.
Really.
No, it was captured your imagination, like what comes next, and so they narrated it really well, and it also kind of related well, or I started actually kind of thinking a lot about my like how I grew up as a Hindu, and kind of and the Vedas, and this kind of notion of our soul, and how it's all connected, and this one soul, and what is the eternal truth,
All right.
which is love.
Yes.
And where everything is connected.
Yeah.
That's the eternal truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you think about all the things which have happened thousands of years, I think that's where we are moving, and that's what the book captured for me. Is just, we are on this journey in pursuit of the fundamental truth.
Yeah. I mean, that is what my science fiction book, The Lattice, is all about.
I want to read this.
It really is. I mean, it's the pursuit. The protagonist is Dr. Alexander Bliss. No mistake on why I gave him that name. And he wants to fearlessly pursue the truth, but he doesn't realize how to prove what the reality actually is. And he has this audacious idea to use brain-computer interfaces with this company. This is in the year 2030, called Neurofire. And he plugs in, psychonauts, like people who are expert at navigating with psychedelics, master meditators, the Dalai Lama, like spiritual masters, and uploads all of this data. This is at a point in time where you can see exactly what's happening inside of the brain. in terms of what it's seeing, like a three-dimensional, movie, and looks for the commonality in terms of what is our reality, and discovers the lattice. And the lattice is the interconnectedness of all things. And, at the end of this, I quote from ancient scripture, and in Hinduism, this is called Indra's net. But it's all the same thing.
Okay, right.
And it's all, anybody that's done a psychedelic journey or really become good at meditation or just has a spiritual awakening sees that our actual reality is deeply rooted in love, and that there is this interconnectedness, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, no, I've not read the whole thing, but I did read the last few pages, and all the religions and their interpretation of kind of oneness
Yes.
is very similar
Yeah.
in its interpretation, and so it just kind of yeah, and what I love, the reason I'm enjoying getting to know you and becoming a really good friend here is because you are going deep on yourself, but also you're envisioning this kind of world, and I clearly see this too. I know that a lot of people talk about AI is going to kind of kill us all, and there's a doom and gloom coming, but like the trajectory I see is very similar, like to kind of what you talk about with the brain computer interface. Like all these technologies are going to unlock things which were not possible,
Yeah.
and will provide us the power to kind of get, as you call it, closer to heaven and life, and
Heaven and earth merging.
heaven and earth kind of merging,
Yeah.
So I do believe in it, because I am in Silicon Valley. I'm very, very technology curious, and every day, like, I just keep on thinking about how these things are going to kind of shape and how they're evolving, and so many things are coming, whether it's robotics and automation to come build things for us 24/7, whether it's abundance of energy that could yield enormous amount of water.
Yes.
If there's enormous amount of water, there's no end of agriculture.
Right.
And there's all the science around synthetic biology which can improve the quality of our soil. There is this huge opportunity, like, and you've talked about Chad and other countries where like intelligence democratization would mean like a surgeon in Chad would be able to kind of tap into the best
Yeah.
wisdom and tools to treat people and save lives in Chad who cannot even dream of coming to Stanford.
Yeah.
And we are at that cusp. There's this convergence happening. And what we need is a force of all amazing people who believe in love over fear, who shape this for the good of humanity.
Yeah. 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 I completely agree. One of the things, just since you brought up Stanford, that really jumped out at me. This was quite a while ago, maybe 8 to 10 years ago. Stanford started to open up their classes where anybody could take them while the students were taking them in the classroom. And you may know where this is going. And one of the computer science classes, they opened up. I think there were like maybe 40 to 80 students in the class. I can't remember the number, but it was less than 100. But there were 30,000 students that took the class with them virtually. And for the final exam, I think it was only 1 or 2 that were in the class that scored in the top, 5%. It was all these other people. So genius is like very distributed.
It's distributed.
A lot of things depend on luck, like getting into a place like Stanford. I got into Wharton. I think the only reason I got into Wharton, was I went here to UT Austin, was because of the weirdness of my background. Really, programming since age 7, creating this internet game at age 18. We're just like, this guy's so different from the investment banker types that are applying here. Like, what is going on? I honestly think that's what got me in. Just that weird background. So just that weird for that time, that ability to harness luck sometimes is really, and I believe that's part of the divine too.
It's kind of interesting, Brett. You were one step ahead, because now that has become the dominant cool person which every university is looking for.
Trust me, I did not feel cool growing up in Texas at all. I was picked on a lot growing up in Texas. It was like, why aren't you playing football? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And all I was doing was programming.
You were way ahead, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I will give myself some credit that I have been able to see the future pretty clearly throughout my life. And I am very confident that humanity is going to make it to this age of abundance for all. But I also am very clear-eyed that it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, no, I think there is goodness and there is evil, and that has existed forever. And good and bad both coexist, and eventually I think good has won over bad. And if you look at history, and it ultimately is based upon people like you and me and folks that they use the position of strengths, whatever they are really good at, to kind of manifest that.
Yeah,
and that's the opportunity, but also so fascinating to live in this time where you could start seeing abundance. It's so cool too. Like, I'm just like, as a like I'm like, hey, I can totally see like these things happening. In energy and food and health and improving longevity and disease cure and and making stuff 24/7 with a lot of kind of less footprint, and extractive kind of nature going down, and biological materials taking over oil and base materials. And just like it's at the cusp. A lot of these things are going to converge, and we'll be able to kind of see this, build this new world, and this zero sum thinking it could be the seeds of destruction. So that is what we need to overcome. That if we all grow, humanity kind of gets uplifted.
So let me ask you, it sounds like you're pretty positive that we're going to make it to this age of abundance for all. How do you kind of assess your probability that we're going to make it?
I'm 100%.
100%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe the purity of our souls, which are interconnected, like the good is going to take the negative. And what that means is, it is your and my job to make sure that people are clearly be able to, 51% people are clearly able to see their souls and what is the ultimate truth.
Yeah.
And we need to kind of bring those folks together.
Yeah.
And work on these things in a way which enables humanity thrive.
Yeah.
I do worry, don't get me wrong. I'm not there is, and you and I have talked about this, nuclear-based wars and nuclear-based destruction. There is AI interconnected. If we give agency to it, that it destroys us rather than helping us. There is automated wars where life becomes like hell living in it, because there's no destruction and just people like destruction of humans, that like it becomes a technology warfare and has less friction. But all of that, I think, is around this zero-sum mindset. And we need to kind of, as leaders, get people into this abundance mindset. If you even think about America and the growth of America and globalization and how that has helped US and its economy, there are people who have not have suffered, don't get me wrong, and we need to kind of solve that.
Yeah.
But in general, like being a great leader, global leader, and how that has positively affected our kind of GDP over the years shows clearly in my head, like I think it's not a zero-sum game. It's like if you lift and peace and trade, that everything goes up.
Yeah. What do you think is the nature of our reality? Like, how do you look at our reality? It's something I think about a lot.
Share a little bit more about it. What your views are.
Well, I discussed this a lot on episode 1, but I think that my personal distillation of the books, if I was to try to summarize like all the reading I've done, which is probably like 50 books now since the beginning of this year. No, and honestly, the reason it's like my soul is very animated. I've got a lot of energy as a result on this quest, and, my friend Taro, who is on the podcast, he's the founder of Four Sigmatic. He and I agree. It's like a soul quest. For him, it happened very young. It was like he was 18. He read over 130 books. I asked him what his favorite book was. It was Awareness by Anthony DeMello, which is like the George Carlin of spiritual teachers. It's such a fun book. I really think that this whole thing, the reason we're here, the purpose is to manifest love. I think we are in an earth school, and our actual reality is rooted in love, and our souls are having a physical experience. And the reason we're born and have amnesia is that if we had all the answers to the test, we would feel kind of cheated and we wouldn't grow. If you had gotten into the schools you got into and the professor said, "Hey, Vishal, don't worry about it. I really like you. Here's the cheat code." You would be, well, hold on a second. Like, I came here actually to learn. Like, I'm curious about this subject. And so I think that this amnesia that we have of why are we here? Why did we incarnate? What is this lifetime all about? Is to lead us to that discovery. And then once we find it, which the best book on that is Man's Search for Meaning. I write a lot about Man's Search for Meaning, and The Entrepreneur's Essential is my first book. Once we find it, it animates us and it gives us a boundless level of energy. And, Viktor Frankl, he survived 4 concentration camps. We're recording this actually on the week where we just passed the 2-year anniversary of October 7th, which is that was hell. What happened on October 7th in Israel when Hamas attacked. And, we're in this earth school to ultimately manifest love. And so that tells me that our actual reality is rooted in love. And no matter what spiritual text I've dove into, I've read the Bhagavad Gita, I've read the Tao Te Ching, I've read a lot of the Zohar, ancient, Jewish mysticism. I've studied Vedanta in India under Swamiji Parthasarathi. Amazing person. Actually, it's from Swamiji Parthasarathi. One of the things you were saying earlier, he quotes from Abraham Lincoln. And he's talking about raising children in this part of the lecture, but he quotes Abraham Lincoln, "If you want your children to walk in a certain path, you must walk in that path.
Mhm.
And I would actually broaden that out to say, if we want humanity to walk in a certain path towards love, we ourselves must walk in that path. We
100%.
genuinely have to conquer our own fear to be an embodiment of love, to actually show that it can be done. And again, I look up to Warren Buffett. He's done that. He's
Yeah.
definitely done that.
No.
I mean, when he did that deal in the financial crisis with Goldman
Yeah.
Sachs, for $10 billion loan, he made that decision in 30 minutes on the phone with the CEO of Goldman Sachs. And he was absolutely demonized on CNBC. I mean, people were just laughing at him.
Mhm.
And he knew it was right. He believes in capitalism. He believes in America. And so I think that we have to discover over and over again how to become better human beings.
Mhm.
And, some people are simulation theorists and say, well, that's part of the video game. Is the video game is like you're kind of climbing humanity's levels. And certainly there's a lot of books I've read, like Journey of Souls by Michael Newton, which do say there are these 7 levels of heaven. And those have been glimpsed in ancient spiritual text as well. But, no matter what I've read, it all comes back to our actual reality is rooted in love.
Yeah.
And that the world of form, if we get trapped there, then it becomes a constant comparison machine. And that can be the roots of a lot of the suffering. Swamiji Parthasarathi, he tells this story about one of the wealthiest people in India,
Mhm.
and he's on his yacht. And this is a ridiculous yacht. I mean, it's just, some of the wealth in India, like for the wealthiest, it's unbelievably wealthy. And he's on this yacht, and he's showing it to Swamiji Parthasarathi, and he's like, look at this yacht. It's so amazing, etc. And Swamiji's like, yeah, you should be very happy, you've achieved this shot,
Yeah.
and the guy says, you see that one over there? It's like one twice as big. He says, that's next. He can't even be happy on the yacht that he's on. So that's the problem with being trapped in the world of form, is there's no end to the amount of accumulation.
Right.
And the only happiness is found inside. And to love humanity, you actually have to start with loving yourself.
I love what you just said. I think to me, you have to love yourself and get to know yourself. Um, you then have to find your purpose and work, and diligently work against all odds against that purpose, and balance wins and losses and continue to move forward. Without this attachment to success, but enjoying the process and being consumed by the process.
Yeah.
And then some of the things which I've learned through my upbringing is that if you are able to figure out who you are, and you are able to go deeper into your soul, to me it's very clear that we are all one soul and connected.
Yeah.
I've been an atheist of sorts, but I hugely believe that God is within you. So it's not a deity or something to go and do a prayer to a physical object, but it's, if we are all together and it's all one consciousness. That's the reason when you and I are talking about some universal truths, like, where is it coming from?
This is why I believe in God,
Yeah.
actually. But I am I'm not professing to know what God is.
Right.
I do want to be clear of that. Like the personification of God, I think, is what turns people off of the word.
Right.
The Tao Te Ching, they call it the Tao.
Mm-hmm.
In quantum physics, they started to call it the field. Like, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he writes great books. He has amazing workshops. His book, which is Breaking the Habit of Becoming Yourself, was introduced to me by John Mackey, founder of Whole Foods.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, this is a very divine read. Like, this is a very wise individual. And throughout the book, the book actually starts out with the quantum view. And it starts out with quantum physics. It's a great distillation, actually, of quantum physics. Trust me, I've dove into quantum physics enough to know what it is.
We talked about it.
Yeah. And it's a phenomenal distillation. And he essentially calls whatever it is, God, he calls it the great intelligence of the quantum field. And whatever it is, it's rooted in love. And I don't know what it is. I mean, in Judaism, we have to be so humble in God that we don't know what God is. Like, we can't profess to understand the nature of a power that can create a universe. And one of the things that any materialist has to grapple with is they have to grapple with the fact that the universe was compressed in the most infinitesimally small point possible with no entropy. And then,
Yeah.
boom.
Something happened. Yeah.
Right. And as far as we know, it's just spreading out constantly. The rate of expansion is insane. I mean, if you look at the math, it's incredible. Like, that is mind-boggling. And as far as we know, it's infinite, I mean, I certainly would like to when we conquer faster and light speed travel, like, see if there's a border. That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as we know, it's infinite. And it's so incredible, this reality we're living in, even if someone isn't spiritual, to realize how miraculous it is that we're even here at all. And that we can do something like meditate,
Mm-hmm.
or do psychedelics and have that communion with something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is our soul. I think that is God, when we can get the ego offline. There's a guru in India. This story is, like, really blew my mind. Who he had reached a state of enlightenment through meditation,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where, some enterprising, like, psychonauts were, like, trying to entice him to take 600 micrograms of LSD. And, the book LSD in the Mind of the Universe by Chris Bosch, one of the best books
I'm going to
I've
read
ever
that.
read.
I've written that.
So,
Yes.
it's so
Yes.
good. Chapters 9 through 11 about the birth of the future human and what happens, how we're in this evolutionary process is mind-blowing. And they give him 600 micrograms, and he takes it, and it has no effect, because he's already there.
Yeah.
He's already can go there. He doesn't need it at all,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is amazing.
I think the thing which is fascinating to me is, and you and I have discussed about this thing a lot, is like, I think, like, as in living in a material world, I think, like, we create all these things which basically starts creating these like layers on top of our soul, and it starts covering, and suddenly you find, like, hey, there is, like, huge amount of distance between your thoughts and your soul, right? Like, I think because it's just, we've created this boundaries and stuff, and and the process of first, and some people do it through psychedelics, or some people who meditate, the process of getting rid of all the stuff so that you can talk.
Yes.
And then my upbringing kind of just tells me, like, hey, if that is the truth, and if we are all connected through this power, and this power of soul, collective one soul, is cumulative, and that knowledge is getting accumulated. And you and I have talked about reaching in these kind of states. The answer is not like, hey, I want one more house, right? The answer is love over fear, right? Like the answer is like, hey, like let's manifest and connect with people at a deeper level. It's just hard in a capitalistic system sometimes because we get consumed on different things. But
It
that's
is a system of our making.
And it's a system of our making too.
And two things can be true at the same time. The system of our making has led to a massive alleviation of poverty, a massive alleviation of starvation. I mean, John Mackey gives a full-throated defense of capitalism. If you ever get a chance to see him give a presentation at the Conscious Capitalism Summit, which has now grown into a worldwide event, like people flying from all over the world for this into Austin. It's a wonder to behold because this lays out the data and he compares it to other forms like socialism, et cetera, and just lays the data out. It's just the data tells the story. And at the same time, when you can just focus it a little bit more on something that's not extractive and think a little bit differently about it, root it a little bit more in love, treat the team members that work with you with love. One of the things John told me one time that stuck with me for a long time, and I really practice this a lot, is he said, every single employee at Whole Foods, when I sit down with them, I put in my head that I am sitting in front of the most enlightened person and they have something to teach me. And it just changes my interaction.
Curiosity. I think the thing, what I was, you and I are saying same thing. I think that when there's a lot of good things about capitalism, but the extractive nature of capitalism has also negative externalities. But the power of capitalism of forward motion is very, very powerful.
Yes.
Right. And then if you go into this, you and I believe on this fundamental truth that if we all go deeper into whether we call it God or a soul or a collective one soul, that the answer is manifesting love. So to me, like people like us who are capitalists and we've been beneficiary of the system, how do we merge these two concepts together? To use the power of capitalism and build a world which our kids and their kids would be proud of, that they'll inherit. That's a responsibility.
That's it. I mean, that's you just laid out the thesis for why I'm writing Love Conquers Fear with the subtitle, Humanity, AI, and the Age of Abundance for All. And by all, I really mean for all. It has to start with this deep love for all of humanity, for the divinity, the soul, the oneness, the connectivity between all of us. And it's just clear to me, what's in your heart, and it's just a real honor to know you. I mean, really is. Like, this is the beginning of many, many more conversations. We've had many conversations out here and many conversations before, but I just want to say thank you so much. And I know that people watching this are going to be inspired because, a lot of people, they have in their mind, like, what is a VC? And sometimes they have negative connotations, sometimes they have positive connotations, but you really are the manifestation, in my opinion, of what venture capital should be, which is just like any capitalism, it should be rooted in love. And wow, what an honor. What an honor.
I am just like, I'm so excited that we are building this kind of deep relationship and are on this amazing journey together. And I wish my son will be hearing all your kind words about VCs, because he keeps on pointing to me. He's an entrepreneur and he keeps on pointing to me like, what do you guys do? But hopefully he's going to listen this, and he'll go till the end to listen it.
You just reminded me of the most humbling thing Deborah and I have ever done is have children. So it's just like anytime you want to get humbled, have children.
Have children.
You'll
Yeah.
get humbled very quickly. But I really look forward to spending time with your son, and it's very cool that he's gotten into Y Combinator, is doing this business now, and my children are right behind him. They're younger, but it's I know that we'll be there to trade notes when the time comes. So
Yeah. No, this is again, thank you.
yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, this is amazing.
Thanks.
So thanks everybody for tuning in to Love Conquers Fear. Oh my gosh, amazing lineup coming up. I said in the last episode, podcast is about to hit the road. We're going to New York City as well as to San Francisco. But Mark Gober manifested a guest. He was on episode number 2. And as I said, a lot of new friends coming into my life. So actually the next episode you'll watch is with a really incredible spiritual teacher. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm doing that. And then I'm hitting the road the day after. So the next episodes will largely be from New York City and San Francisco. Thanks again, everybody. And I just want to also thank you for all the heartfelt comments I'm getting on the podcast. It really means a lot to me. I've got a lot of new friends coming in my life, but one of the things that's incredible is I'm getting lots of text messages via LinkedIn, emails, and it's clear that this is having an impact. And this is just the beginning. There's going to be many episodes, dozens and dozens more to come. I'm having a blast and trying to do what I can to create an impact so that humanity makes it. And I appreciate you being on this journey with me. If you're enjoying this, share it with a friend, share it out there on LinkedIn. I'm not making any money on this. I'm just spending my own money on this. There's no advertising. And I would appreciate your help in amplifying it. Thanks a lot.